Okay, should we watch this, Jerks?
Sure.
Let's hear about these documentaries that you got lined up.
Yeah, I watched some documentaries this week. I watched Sly, the Sylvester Stallone documentary.
Yep.
Sylvester Stallone is very interested. Sylvester Stallone is very interested in Sylvester Stallone. That's how I would describe this documentary.
Well, it's called Sly, and it's about him.
It is called Sly. It is about him, and it's very much him talking about himself. And, he says very nice things about himself for an hour and a half. Yeah. I mean, he definitely did not have an easy life. His father beat the crap out of him, often. And he spent the rest of his life compensating for the fact that his father beat the crap out of him often. And that's where he is. And it's
really Boy Named Sue here.
Yeah, it's very much a boy named Sly. Yes, 100%. Like, there's even footage when he was older and successful. He bought horses and did a polo tournament, and he played polo, and his father played with him. And during the polo match, there was one basically really cheap shot, and it was his father almost killing Sylvester Stallone during this polo match. And he goes, after that, I never played polo again, and I sold all the horses, and that was it. Yeah. Yeah, it sucks. He's very interesting. Obviously things haven't always been easy for him. It's amazing to see how successful he became with with all he's done. But I also could tell that he's probably not an easy person to get along with or to work with or to live with. But it's interesting. Very interesting.
I guess you're going to avoid doing all those things.
Exactly. I'm not going to hang out with him. And, and the stuff about his son is also very sad. Right. Obviously, the son that passed away from heart disease.
Yep.
The undiagnosed. And he is not that anyone would be, but he's clearly hasn't really been able to move on from that fully. And you can tell by how it's not even what he says. It's what he doesn't say. If that makes sense. So very interesting. I recommend it. I also watched the Albert Brooks documentary, Defending My Life, Albert Brooks, which was directed by his best friend since high school, Rob Reiner. Nice. And that's also that documentary is a little bit more fun. Although there's also, lots of father issues in that one as well. Albert Brooks wasn't beaten by his father, but his father died when he was about 10. His father was a famous stand-up comedian at the time in the late 50s who died on stage.
Oy.
And there's a lot of his anxieties about live performing and just, everything he's done in his life. And it's very interesting. He's also a genius, filmmaker in his own right. And it's really that one I liked a lot more. I thought it was just a little bit more interesting. There's a really good Super Dave documentary also on HBO Max. Super Dave was his older brother.
Mm-hmm.
And those two documentaries, the Albert Brooks and the Bob Einstein documentary, they work together really well. I recommend watching both of them.
Wait, his older is like a stepbrother or something?
No, his little brother.
They just had different names?
No, Albert Brooks's real last name is Einstein. But he didn't use Albert Einstein professionally.
Right. Yikes. That's interesting, parents. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, you learn all about them in the documentaries. And Mm-hmm. I recommend both. And then I went to the movie theater on Saturday morning and saw a movie in the theater that not many people did. But
I saw it.
Yeah, I was going to say, but two-thirds of the show saw it. And that was the Marvels.
Mm-hmm.
Too woke for me. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's surprisingly not very woke.
Not woke enough for me. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you like it?
I did. I enjoyed right out of the gate. It's only like an hour and a half or so long, right? Like
an hour 45.
Something like that. I don't know. It's a noticeable difference than 2.5 hours or 3 hours for these type of movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's some I don't know. I forgive it because it's an hour and 45 minutes that they don't have to go into as much detail right? Like it's like here's the person, here's their motivation for like the bad character. That's enough. We really don't. The movie's not about that evil character, right? Like that's just like happens to be in the movie is the villain. They had to have somebody for the Marvels to fight.
Yeah.
Right. But other than that, it's like, okay, this is not unique ground we're treading, but it's a cute movie and it doesn't take itself very seriously, especially in some spots.
I think the best spots.
Yeah. And I really like Kamala Khan. Like that actress, I think she does a very good job with Ms. Marvel. So the kids loved it. All the Goose is a hit. I mean,
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. So I seem to like, I don't know, like I wasn't a Marvel like cosmic universe kid growing up, but I just think they're Marvel movies that take place in outer space. They seem to work pretty well. Like
generally speaking, unless they have Thor in them.
There's
Thor: Love and Thunder.
Right.
Thor: Love and Thunder is a bad movie.
You're just not a fan of Cancer, I think is the.
Can't you find the fun in Cancer?
I famously love Cancer. We all know that.
Okay.
But no. That movie, I have issues with Thor: Love and Thunder that I could go into, but I don't want to waste a half.
We don't need to. I'm okay with Thor: Love and Thunder.
I think the Marvels was significantly better than both Ant-Man and Thor, the most recent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think I liked it a lot. I liked where it was fun and it didn't take itself too seriously. I thought it had some really good moments. I thought there were some really funny moments, and overall, I thought it was, again, a fast-paced, good movie. I'm not going to say it was great. It's not great. It's not like, oh my God, this is the most amazing thing I've seen, but it has some really cool moments. I think the pre-credit scene was one of the best things Marvel could have done.
Sure, we won't talk about that.
No, we won't talk about that, but it was like, here's the thing they needed to do a year and a half ago.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, yes, I was excited
Spider-Man
for that as well.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. Close.
Just Spider-Man and everything. Just come. Yeah, it's just like,
and now Spider-Man's here. No, that does not happen.
It should have.
Yeah. Like originally the Marvels was supposed to come out before Ant-Man and Thor.
Sure, and it's interesting, like if that would have changed anything, because it works because it's pretty much self-contained.
It is very self-contained,
right? Like it's not like, hey, here's a major villain that we're going to be fighting against or trying to build up to be something else. It's just like, no, here's a hour and 45 minutes of a superhero movie. You don't have to
these three characters that are connected to each other but haven't seen each other or don't really know each other, and now they're going to get to know each other, and at the end they're all going to be good friends.
Right.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a movie like that either. It's just a shame. I think part of why people didn't go to see it is because those other two movies, and I know Guardians did really well, but that one was also really good. But I think Thor: Love and Thunder and Ant-Man Quantumania may have taken some of it out of it, some wind out of the sails as far as people wanting to rush to see it when they're like, Disney Plus. Disney, it'll be on Disney Plus.
I mean, I hate to say it, that's what I was going to say. There is some fact to like,
of course,
and 100%. Women to this.
Yeah. I mean, it got really good reviews. It has really high audience scores.
The outfits aren't hot either.
Actually,
they're very covered up.
Actually,
they are hot?
That is, yeah. I will say that Brie Larson in the skimpy white shirt, the skimpy white t-shirt, Brie Larson in the beginning of the movie.
I meant the costume, the costumes. Sorry.
Skimpy white t-shirt. That's
not a costume. That's her. Just she happened to be wearing a t-shirt in that scene.
Oh, and she's also fully nude at one part.
Stop that.
Fully nude.
Yeah, sure.
And the whole scene on the water planet is pretty awesome.
With the wet t-shirt planet.
The wet t-shirt water planet is pretty cool.
The problem is that the movie didn't do well, and it was a shorter movie, and I'm worried that they're gonna get the wrong message. The studio.
I think that there's a lot of takeaways from it, but I don't think the takeaway should be that this movie was bad and they should feel bad about it. I think obviously the strike didn't help. The lack of promotion, the coming out at the November release, although maybe who knows. I don't know. There's a lot.
Right.
I think Secret Invasion was Secret Invasion was terrible.
That doesn't have anything to do with this.
Well, it does though, because that's that was like there was a lot of concern that was going to lead right into the Marvels, but the Marvels literally acts as though Secret Invasion just didn't happen. Like they act like it's not.
I
wasn't
acted
even
like Secret Invasion didn't even happen. Like I forgot that was a TV show. Like I don't think that many people are like have to watch every Marvel show to make them go watch the movie, or like every Marvel show to go watch the movie. I think this one really comes down to like the overall appeal of these characters just isn't as wide as what other characters are. I mean, you throw a Spider-Man swinging in for a little bit and the numbers go up. I mean, it's not.
I know. And I'm saying that's kind of a bummer because I think they're good characters.
Sure.
Oh yeah, no, I do too. I like it. It's just like, I don't know. It's just not going to be as big of a movie.
But it should be. I'm not going to say it should be as big a movie, but it should be bigger than it was.
Maybe it's just a post-COVID world and people aren't going back to the movies as much.
No, I mean it's Barbie made $1 billion. So did Oppenheimer.
I guess you're right.
Well, I mean, all of these Marvel movies were all so closely tied together and like building to Endgame. So you had to go see every one of them. Now they've just kind of been meandering for
they don't. They're
10 films or so.
Yeah.
So you're like, I don't know. Do I need to see this one? Like I haven't seen Guardians still, and I know I'll like it, and I just haven't seen it yet because I know like there's nothing pushing me to go.
Don't
see
watch
it.
that one with your kids.
I know, but
don't watch it with your wife either.
It'll be all right.
Why? I'm afraid to ask. Maybe I shouldn't ask.
There's there's
animal
cruelty in it. But I know that there's not like I'm not missing out on anything like on a large scale.
And you're not
story like
you're
right
not.
like I want to see it because I want to see the movie, but it's not like I didn't rush out to theaters to see it.
Which is why that pre-credit scene from the Marvels is like, oh, where was this 2 years ago? Where was this 2 years? And there needs to be follow-up to that.
That's not putting butts in seats.
It's what though? It could.
No.
No. I'm gonna agree to disagree.
All right.
Let's move on. Penguin Overload writes in. He says, "What is Wombat's thoughts on the Madam Web trailer? Me personally think it's a shit show."
Yeah, that's about right.
Who is Madam Web? I don't even know.
Okay,
go ahead.
Madam Web is an old lady who can't walk, that sits in a giant chair with tubes in her back, and she can tell the future. And a few times
of the Spider-Verse,
of spider people,
the future of people who have been bitten by a spider or have been affected by a spider somehow.
Yes.
Okay, that seems really specific.
She was heavily involved in the Spider-Man cartoon that was in the 90s. Do you remember that one? Like there was a whole arc where like all of a sudden she was like the main thing in this. It was really
I see her. Yep. She looks familiar.
Yeah. Now
that's
in the
Sydney
comics,
Sweeney's character?
No. Oh. In the comics, they did have another person take on the name of Madam Web, and that was Julia Carpenter, who was the second Spider-Woman from the 80s. She was the West Coast Avengers Spider-Woman. And that's who Sydney Sweeney is playing. She's playing Julia Carpenter, Spider-Woman 2, although Spider-Woman 1 has yet to be in anything yet. So it's kind of weird that they're starting with the second Spider-Woman and not the first Spider-Woman. But whatever. I don't write these things.
I'm confused.
It's nothing against Julia Carpenter. I don't dislike her. It's just weird that's...
Wait, Julia Carpenter is a real person or a character?
No, that's a character.
Okay.
That's who Sydney Sweeney's playing.
I watched the trailer. I don't recall seeing a Madam Web in the trailer. Did I miss it?
Yeah, what's her face? Dakota Johnson. Dakota Johnson is playing Madam Web, but she's not an old lady in a chair anymore.
Right. She's like in every scene of the trailer.
Okay, but she just looked like a regular person.
Yes.
And what about the guy that looked like Spider-Man but meaner?
Oh, who was it? It was like Ezekiel Stain, right?
I don't think that's his name, is it?
I thought no, that's Obadiah Stane.
That's Obadiah Stane.
That's his superhero name?
It's Morcan. Is that?
No, it's not. Is it Morgan?
I think it's some combination of him and this other character.
Now I have to look it up. You're gonna make me look it up.
There was a Spider-Man that like fed off of other Spider-Men.
Yeah, that's Morden.
Yeah.
I feel like you make a trailer like this. You got to. How do you assume that people know who that is? And shouldn't they know who the villain is?
It looks like Spider-Man.
Right.
That's
Ezekiel Sims. That's who he's playing.
Right.
Okay.
That's why I was confused. I'm like, I know that's not Spider-Man, but it looks like him. And he's angry. He has no jokes. No jokes at all from this Spider-Man.
It's the same tone as all these other Spider-Man adjacent films. They're kind of, I don't know, they're edgy, but also like just very straightforward in the writing.
You're saying like edgy yet toothless, basically.
Yes. I mean, it's gonna fit in perfectly with your Morbius and your Venoms, and like I'm gonna watch it. I'll watch it. Not gonna like it, but I'm gonna watch it.
If I have to, I'll watch it. What TV shows you watching?
I did finish up Loki. Speaking of Marvel stuff.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it was a perfect series because that would be stretching it, but I will say the finale is surprisingly satisfying and it does, stick the landing, so to speak. And if you want to, wrap up the Loki saga in a nice bow, I recommend it. It's fun. It's fun. It's impressive how they were able to kind of pull off what they pull off with the end of that show, because it's hard to end things, especially Marvel stuff lately. So the fact that they were able to do that in a satisfying way that makes you go, this feels right. I give them a lot of credit for that.
Sounds good. We started watching Robodoc, the RoboCop documentary. It's 4 parts. They're each like an hour and change.
Did you get up to the Oreo part?
No.
Oreos
I've certainly seen it on my Instagram feed. Although I didn't actually watch it because I know I'm going to watch it later.
Robo wants Oreo.
Yeah. It's very interesting so far. Obviously, just seeing how hard it was to make the movie. Like one of the most interesting parts so far was that the budget of the movie is about $15 million at the time, and the suit was such a big deal, and so hard to make that it cost $1 million, and it wasn't ready until right when they were ready to shoot, basically. And that's a big fucking percentage of the budget, just the suit. And it wasn't the guy, Peter Weller couldn't move in it, and he'd been studying this from this movement coach, all these different moves, and it was just all a waste of time because the suit was so stiff he couldn't do any of the things, and he blew a shit fit, and the movement coach basically stepped in and saved the day and gave him some new moves to do. And I know it sounds I'm not sure yet because I only watched the first episode, and actually haven't even finished that. But I'm wondering if Peter Weller wasn't a little difficult on the set.
Did they ever finish the movie?
They made 2 of them, actually.
Okay.
There's rumors of a 3rd one, unconfirmed. And I heard there might be a video game, but I'm not sure about that.
It's stupid.
So we watched that, and you have to buy that. That's not available anywhere for streaming yet. Or maybe it is one of those weird horror standalone streaming services that I'm
a Shudder.
Something I don't know, something like that. But anyway, it was $13. It's whatever. We also started watching Invincible season 2, which is very good. Again, if you're looking for a different type of superhero show, with subjects that they don't cover on the other superhero platforms, Invincible does a really good job. The writing is really good, and it's super violent. It's very, very violent, though. So if you're not looking for that, can't watch it. But it's great.
Yes, they released Omni-Man in Mortal Kombat this week.
Yeah.
I guess it coincides with the premiere of the show.
Yeah.
And he is quite formidable in that game when you use him. He's a lot of fun to play with. He's fairly slow as a character, but even like his basic punch takes off like a quarter of someone's health.
Right.
So
I've watched it's a lot of YouTube videos of his fatalities and stuff. And
I've done it about 50 times.
They've taken it. They're all right from the show. They're all right from scenes of the show. It's you don't watch Invincible?
I think I had like 2 episodes left of season 1 and I just never finished it.
It's pretty good, and season 2 started off really strong, like right away, like super strong. It's so different. It's like The Boys in a way, but it's even different than The Boys somehow, even though they're both super violent and showing you like sort of the darker side of superheroes. They both still seem different enough from each other to keep it interesting.
All right, then.